Hi everyone. Well, good evening. Buenas noches. My name is Ivan Salinas. I'm the programs coordinator here at Beyond Baroque. Welcome everyone. We are celebrating Teresa Mei's book right here, Incidental Takes. I'm really excited to delve into the poems too, and I just saw that there's the translations from the Vietnamese, right? And hope to hear some of that. But we're also blessed with the presence of some amazing poets, all from the LA area, that will read alongside our author of the evening. Just a little bit about Beyond Baroque. For those of you that maybe your first time here, we are one of the oldest literary art spaces in all of LA. We are now turning 55 and going strong. I would like to acknowledge our presence on the ancestral and unceded territory of the Tongva peoples. We acknowledge the wrong done to indigenous communities through genocidal practices. But we are an organization uplifting indigenous communities and artists. And we recognize them as the original stewards of these lands, a place we know as Venice. Thank you to our team, Eric Alberg, tech support, directors Quentin Ring and Jimmy Vega, Nick and Genesis in the bookstore, where you'll find copies of Incidental Takes, of Alzamiento, of all the other so many great books that we have of the authors. So please support them, and you can also consider becoming a member to Beyond Baroque, and you'll help support our free programming and all the readings and workshops that we put in the space. Just to give you a glimpse, tomorrow we'll have a reading with Latinx and Chicanx punk authors turned scholars, lawyers, and we'll have a mini social justice fair with local organizations providing mutual aid to working class communities, on-house communities, formerly incarcerated communities as well. And we'll also have in October, we'll have a night of spoken word with Diosa Xochiquetzalcoatl and Matthew Cuban, and we'll host a workshop facilitated by the great Allison Hedgecock. So feel free to check all of that out on our website. And a bit of a side note, we also have the Beyond Gala, or Gala, whichever you prefer. But that's coming up October 15. So if you're interested in being 21st, my bad, my bad. October 21st. So if you're interested in being a part of that as a guest, sponsor, please let us know after the reading. So now, without further ado, I'd like to welcome each poet that will be reading alongside Teresa. So first up, we have Tracy Kato Kiriyama. Tracy, based on unceded Tongva land in the South Bay of Los Angeles, is the author of Navigating Without Instruments, an award-winning multi-, inter-, and transdisciplinary artist recognized for their work as a writer, performer, theater deviser, cultural producer, and community organizer. Their work is also featured in a wide swath of media and print publications, including NPR, Entropy, Chaparral Canyon Press, Diachucha Press, Bamboo Ridge Press, Heyday Books, and many more. Please welcome Tracy.
Thank you. Congratulations! Oh my gosh, what an honor! How generous for you to invite us in to read with you and celebrate you. This is so great. I started reading it already, and I can't wait to finish it. And mostly can't wait to hear you read from it. So congrats. Teresa and I, just before this, we were talking a little bit about courage. So I'm going to read an essay. I never read aloud, but I also just want to start with this short one that I've never read any of the things about my mom throughout the book, but this is a trusted little intimate space and courage. Why not? Letters of Supplication to Ma. Part 1. Dear Ma, remember that night you sat in our room on the bed of that old B&B because there was no place to sit in relaxation, only that squeaky chair at the desk, but I said I needed it to work on taxes. So I was lying. I was trying to write away the day. You looked up after 2 appointments with the medium, 1 more scheduled for tomorrow, 2 more than we came here for, but it wasn't enough, and it wasn't looking good. Was starting to feel like Santa Barbara or Illinois or Carson or Internet or all those other places where we tried to contact the dead and nobody looked back at us long enough. And none of them resembled Dad. And you looked up and told me, wow, my life is kind of crazy. I guess you should write about this. So let me, Ma. I promise to honor what we need to extinguish. So, of the many things in the ways in which you inspire me, Teresa, I love how much work you put out. I'm so the opposite of that. Like, I take forever. This book took me 8 years, and I love the way I feel like you embody a self-determined artist. And so when I was thinking about that, I wanted to read this essay. And I think about it for other artists who I'm trying to support them in feeling and being self-determined. So this is called Note to the Questioning of Self Artist. My friend, let's call him Apple, once told me, hey Trey, I've been wanting to tell you something. I think I'm going to quit music. It felt like a confession from someone who felt like he was letting himself or me or the world down. He said he tried but just couldn't sustain himself and wished he knew how to be a full-time artist. But since he couldn't figure it out, it was probably time to just give it up for good. Apple had made a few albums, tried to do as many gigs as would have him, but he didn't feel like he was a success. Through practicing art as a career and helping to build an Art Plus community organization called Tuesday Night Project for so many years, I cannot even tell you how many times I have had versions of this very conversation. I've taken in countless lamentations of, I am not that successful, and I'm just a part-time artist, and I'm not a real artist. All the while, those folks creating some of the best or most beautiful art I've ever witnessed. My most honest answer to Apple was, my friend, you couldn't quit music if you tried. Maybe you mean you need to quit the business, for now, for a while, or in ways that continue not to work. Maybe you need to figure out the ways it will work for you, your music, that is, your art. It's true. If you're active in artistic circles and engaged with community long enough, it can often feel like most everyone around you has the best deal or contract or label or publisher or platform or social media prowess or show or role or tour or. That everyone is getting work, that everyone is famous, that everyone is successful. But the thing is, even people you know, who are making every penny solely from their artistic careers without another job or side gig, they have had to bust ass while getting lucky and making sacrifices that most of them won't ever tell you about. They have had to pay their dues and say no to so many things just to keep their integrity intact, all the while very much knowing they are incredibly lucky and they must be extremely grateful. At the same time, many folks have figured out a hybridity of pursuits for artistic survival, like an MC, building a life with their kids and super supportive, gainfully employed partner, making their own videos, hosting shows, teaching workshops, speaking on panels, writing essays, taking production assistant jobs, all the while realizing they thrive and seek out and love the variety of their experience. And even still at the same time, there are whole swaths of others whose pursuit of an art practice means having a 9-to-5 and doing art at other available hours or through intensives over long weekends or retreats they take at different times of the year. One of my favorite writers ever worked full-time at 1-800-DENTIST, and that never stopped him from doing great art. He did it at his own pace and on his own time, and I don't think his tempo or output would necessarily change all that much even without the full-time Monday through Friday job situation. Over the past 25 plus years, I've traveled through all of these situations in various ways and have witnessed this all around me with artists in every field. The thread that binds it all is, these are all folks who can't stop doing their art. And for all the folks struggling with calling or considering themselves an artist, or with fame and fortune or lack thereof, or with the ebb and flow of various sectors and industries and availability and accessibility of work, please, by all means, remember this. 1, do you love art? You go to art to process? You utilize art to communicate with the world and with yourself? You can't, in all honesty, imagine not doing art for a second or indefinitely or a prolonged period of time? In all caps, you are an artist. Say it. Tell others. Make business cards if you have to. Own it. 2, let go of the trappings from external forces trying to define for us or society at large what it means to be a real artist, or full-time artist, or artist, period. Never diminish yourself or what you do based upon someone else's definition or expectation. Own it. 3, fame is an illusion, or as Bruce said it, the word superstar really turns me off, and I'll tell you why, because the word star, man, is an illusion. Bruce motherfucking Lee said this. Do not let money or fame dictate your degree of success. Allow your definition of success to be self-determined. Accolades are fleeting. Fame is relative. And more than anything, it never satisfies the call from within ourself. I will bet money that at the pit of the deepest core of every artist lies the knowledge that no amount of recognition or popularity or even respect from peers will ever provide lasting satisfaction. Feeling unsatisfied and in a constant state of questioning is part of the nature of the artist. It roots our curiosity as well as our unsettledness. I have a high level of both. And at a certain level, thank goodness, artists will do what they need to do to keep creating. You have to. The artist in you needs to. Indulge the curiosity and support the unsettledness so you can navigate the dissatisfaction and keep creating. Also, everyone uses the word everyone too much. Stop that. Note to self, stop that. Let us always feel challenged, challenging, passionate, curious, grateful, alive. Let us evaluate impact and measure our success by the process we dive into, because we've heeded our internal voice that tells us what creative risks we need to take on next. Let us listen closely to the anima that nudges us, scares us, won't let well enough alone. Oh, and by the way, Apple didn't quit music. He's been living in Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam, raising a kid with his partner, teaching English and music, and waiting for the right time to release his latest recordings. Congratulations again, all of you.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Tracy, for being with us tonight. Our next poet is Lisbeth Koyman. Lisbeth is a bilingual author born in Venezuela. She earned her BA in Modern Languages at the Universidad Metropolitana, Caracas, and a master's in education at Northwestern Oklahoma State University. Her work has been featured in online publications like the Acentos Review, the Citron Review, Coachella Review, Cultural Weekly, and Resonancias Literarias, among others. She is a member of Women Who Submit and lives and works in Los Angeles. Please welcome Lisbeth Koyman.
I met Teresa In Studio City at Expressions LA, we were both featuring just one day before my trip to China in 2019. And we connected through our immigrant experience, through being away from our homelands. But there were two poems from that event that still remain with me, and is the blue grain, the blue agent, and the poem about the cockroaches. I will never forget those poems. I bought every book by Teresa so far. I was very happy to be in the release of her newest collection that we are celebrating today. And two themes I take from this collection is her love for her homeland, which is something I share, and what it means to learn a language as an adult. And in Teresa's case, is the contradiction of learning a mother language when you are already an adult. It's something profoundly interesting about this statement. For 25 years, I was an English as a second language teacher, and I taught adults to speak English. And we reached the pandemic with a desire to learn and unsurmountable expectations from the district to teach these students through Zoom, because we had to meet a quota. And this is for my students. You didn't say no puedo to my low literacy ESL students during the COVID-19 pandemic lockdown of 2020. I want to reach my right hand through the computer like I used to do in the classroom de verdad, give guy yours to write a letter between the lines, bubble the standardized test correctly so the scantron can read it, put the scrambled sentence together when you can't figure out my verbal instructions. I want to reach my right hand through the liquid screen, write the address to days.schoology.com, click on submit assignment, click on audio and video, click on 3 sentences, and write how you cope with stress. I want to reach my right hand through the liquid screen, wipe your tears when I see your teenage children unmoved by your pleas for help. I want to say to them, help your mother. Without knowing how to read or write, she took you to kindergarten, clean, well-fed, and ready to learn, but I don't say anything. I want to reach my hand through the liquid screen, pat you on the shoulder for your strength and perseverance, the frustrations you overcome every day, saying, ay maestra, es que no puedo. I want to reach my hand, but I think to myself, you didn't say no puedo when you escape hunger, poverty, political persecution, or gang violence. You didn't say no puedo crossing a rattlesnake-infested desert only with hope on your back. You didn't say no puedo when this country rejected you with this star-spangled xenophobia, working 16 hours a day, cleaning gringo toilets or picking green onions. You didn't say no puedo when your parents died in your homeland and you couldn't bury them for fear La Migra will not let you back in with your children. But I only tell you, usted y yo sabemos que usted ha pasado por cosas peores. And because you're smart like that, you understand that all you've been through prepare you to learn English on Zoom during a pandemic. And you say, lo voy a hacer. Something I share with Teresa is the longing for our homelands. And this is how I express my love for my homeland. To all those forever condemned to a life of tasteless fruits, apples that can only adorn a pig's mouth or be thrown at a doctor's head, strawberries seasoned with the sweat of undocumented labor in California fields. To those who have never tasted heat of the tropics, I offer my hand, pregnant with a perfume of parchita, daffodil yellow, oval, the size of a duck's egg, withered in appearance when ripe. Cut it in two. It releases a cornucopia of flavors, citrusy and tart. Scoop a spoonful of this slimy orange pulp entangled with abundant black seeds. Pour aged rum in the sweet cup. Mix it with cream to create the most exquisite of desserts. Mousse de parchita, a longing that haunts my dreams. Creamy in the center, soft like clouds in September, bittersweet like a lover saying goodbye after a night of bondage sex. Drink from its shell. Be delighted in the explosion of colors in your mouth. The canopy of the Andes, of the canopy of the jungle in Canaima, the Caribbean Sea, the snow peaks of the Andes, the pastures of Los Llanos, the soil of Barlovento, the slope of the El Avila in April, the sun over my head at high noon. Take it between your hands, bring it to your lips. A supernova of aromas will wrap itself around your mouth, your hands, even your breast, where it will drop its desirable viscosity, intoxicating like the smell of cocoa beans freshly harvested, reassuring like the aroma of coffee at 4 a.m., petrichor after a sudden shower in May, interrupting the impromptu baseball games in my neighborhood, the essence of a country I cannot go back to. Garcia Marquez Guava got nothing on the smell of my parchita. Take my hand. Let its fragrance wrap itself around your fingers until you too are able to share this exquisite, magnificent creation to all those forever condemned to a life of tastelessness. And another thing that I relate a lot in the book is the love for nature. We both have passion fruit trees in our houses, and this is about passion. Parchita is passion fruit. But we also love nature a lot, and we relate through that. And I commune with, this is my worship, this is my Bible, my church, this is the way I worship, is to commune with nature, and it's through my gardening or in the trails. And this is some meditations from the trails. 1, luminous being shining through crevices, light seeps through imperfections, more than enough, joyful, radiant, no time for depression, hidden corners, whole beauty, delight, fragrance of happiness. 2, the wind goes through the house, cleaning it of influences and influenzas and novel viruses and mala vibra, walks through, amplifies, silences, the truth kept, the sadness bore, the joy holding all the parts, wind passing through life, gusts of energy. 3, I am the rock, solid and stoic, shadow for small beings needing a respite for the sun, balance in a monochromatic landscape, chair for the tired hiker, expansion and contraction of life. 4. I am the water. New ideas live, are born thirsty, calm their quench. Power of electricity produce joy of life in self-doubt, out joy. 5. In the harsh landscape of the high desert, complete in solitude, the sounds of boots on trail, firm path through life, the water of the reservoir murmurs in my eardrums. You'll survive this journey even when you temporarily lose the trail. 6. Path offers a space, just 1 foot at a time, lands solid on the ground, certain, tears, moist soil. California poppies transform sorrow, give back orange smiles. 7. In solitude, hug a tree. Body fills with energy flowing in the zap current inside trunk. Branches, refuge under shade. Rest, breathe, essence, inhale, vital energy. Thank you. Let's celebrate once more Teresa's book. It's a joy.
Marchita poet. Thank you. That was awesome. Next poet is born and raised in South Korea. Tanya Ko-hong is an internationally published poet, translator, and playwright who champions bilingual poetry and poets. She's the author of 5 books, including The War Still Within. She holds an MFA degree from Antioch University. Tanya's work has been published in several journals and anthologies, and won the Literario Golli Award at the International Corsair Poetry Festival. Yoon Dong-ju Korean American Literature Award. Ko-won's 10th Literary Award was a finalist in Frontier's Chapbook Contest and has been nominated for a Pushcart Prize. Please welcome Tanya Ko-hong.
Thank you. So I think it'll be kind of nice if you could close your eyes and listen to the language. Maybe you maybe not understand. 둘째 시간. 어두운 방으로 불려갔다. 창이 없는. 미세스 로페츠가 그림책을 보여주었다. 강, 내가 말한다. 틀렸어. river라고 그녀가 말한다. river, 내가 말한다. river가 아니라니깐 river, 그녀가 말한다. 그렇게 말했어요. river, 강이에요. 그녀가 고개를 흔든다. 내 입을 봐. river. 그 후로 나는 입을 다물었다. Second period. I am called to a little dark room, windowless. Mrs. Lopez showed me a picture book. 강, I say. No, river, she says. Liver, I say. Not liver, it's a river, she says. That's what I said. Liver, river, 강, it's a 강. She shook her head. Look at my mouth, she said. Liver, river, I say. Then shut my mouth. I think we wanted to say we're learning English as a second language, and it's not that easy. But when someone is just keep trying to correct you, then even still, the R sound is really hard for me. And then you just shut your mouth. And then you don't want to say it because you know when you say something, you're going to be corrected again. And then inside of your heart, you know exactly that's what you're saying, you know? And so that's I wanted to share. And I thought I was reading in Korean about the mother tongue, next piece that I'm going to read. And it didn't sound kind of right. So I'm just going to read it in English. Mother tongue. Sophistication isn't damn good to drink. So why don't you untie my tongue like you undress me in the dark? Don't let my ego ruin our night. Don't scan betrayal in your mind. Life is not so bad if you don't pay attention. Reaching out in the night. I don't know what I am trying to grasp. When the sound of a trumpet wraps my body, I want to speak in my mother tongue. I don't want to apologize. Sorry, English is my first language. Yes, I smell like a garlic. Don't kiss me. I had kimchi. You smell too, like a scorched lamb and limburger. Let's just love each other. And I tried to read it in Korean. That's the thing. Like that you have like this sassness when you read it in English. And when I try to read it in Korean, it just become very passive and submissive. The language changes. So that is as a bilingual poet that we know is very important to choose what language word you speak, and then when you write in English first or Korean first, and then when you translate it, and then whole theme and meaning is changed, so another creation. So next piece, I wrote about the comfort women, and that long poem become playwright. And also it's gonna have like a short play in New York in December. So what I'm gonna do, reading like just little part of Korean, little part of English, and then how it turn it into monologue. So, and then I'm gonna end it that way. So this is how it starts. 푸른 꽃. 사람들은 나를 위안부라고 부른다. 내게도 이름이 있었다. 1991년 서울. TV 소리는 마음을 편안하게 해준다. 늘 곁에서 누군가 말을 걸어주는 것처럼. 그날은 일본말이 귀에 들어왔다. 우린 그런 적이 없다. 그 여자들이 돈을 벌기 위해 자진해서 우리에게 왔다. 우리가 강요한 적이 절대로 없다. 나는 누른밥 뜨던 숟가락을 떨어뜨렸다. August 1991, Seoul, South Korea. A woman named Haksun Kim came forward to denounce the Japanese for sexual enslavement of more than 200,000 women during World War II. They were known as 위안부 in Korean and comfort women in English. Father threw at me, waved his hand towards the door. I left at dusk. 30 years, 40 years, forever. Mute. Bury it with me. They call me 위안부. I had a name. So that is a long poem, but I just not sharing that part, and then I'm just gonna read how it turning into 5 minutes monologue. Comfort women. Do you want to know about this old picture? The one I had a nurse uniform on? Why did I wear it? I didn't want to talk about it at all. But now, because I don't have much time left, I must. I don't want my granddaughter to know. I was 14 years old. I still remember the time like it was yesterday. So vivid. Our town heard that Japanese soldiers were taking single young women to war. The soldiers said, when she is ready to marry, we'll send her back. My parents said, no, she's too young. They said, she will work in the factory and make money. Then they kept threatening our family. If we can have her, we'll take everything away from you. When I was taken away, my mother gave me money and said, hide it. So when you are hungry, you can buy food. That was the last time I saw my mother. When I was taken away, I thought I was going to the factory to work. But I was locked in a little room where I had nothing. I was scared to death, and I really didn't know what was going on. They called me by number. I had to wear a kimono. I lay down on a blanket. Then I got a 606 shot that got me. It was so strong, I couldn't get up. All day long, soldiers got on top of me. I just looked at the ceiling. I didn't feel anything in my body. My body was frozen. Before one soldier finished his business, the other one rushed in. I didn't refuse anything. I didn't feel anything. Busy day. Must be Sunday. I didn't have time to eat anything. I was so hungry. A soldier would hit me when I would try to eat a rice bowl. Then I would kneel down and say, sorry, I will never do it again. And the soldier kicks me with his boot and pushes me down. He took off his condom to punish me. He wanted to get me pregnant, or I would get beaten, or even killed. Who knows? At that point, I didn't really care. Live or die. What's the difference? How did these kind of things happen? I must have been a horrible person in the past. Why did I get these punishments? Why didn't my parents prevent me from going? I regret being born in this country. What kind of a country can protect its own people? When I think about it, then my anger burst. I watched my friend die of hunger. If I could have made her bone soup, seaweed soup, fish soup with white rice, something, she would be alive. She would sit here. I didn't want to tell. I wanted to take it to my dad's bed. What do you think people would say, huh? Do you think they would say, so sorry, what happened to you? Pull my leg. People will walk away from like I was dirt, like I'm a contagious disease. They'll look at me like it was my fault. Does that make any sense? I was a sexual slave for 6 years. Then I was prisoner of war for 1 year after that. I did not exist then. I feel like I don't exist now. I was lucky to be sent to the army and put into the nurse clothing. Remember that picture? They wanted everyone think we're nurses. That was the picture I showed to my daughter when she asked me what I did during World War II. My daughter said, "You're a nurse." It was good that I had that picture to show her. I didn't say anything while she was growing up, but I think now she knows something, even though I will never tell her or my granddaughter. Thank you. Thank you, Teresa.
Tanya, thank you so much. Our next poet is Angelina Sáenz. She is an award-winning public school teacher and poet whose work focuses on memory, mujeres, and motherhood. She is a UCLA Writing Project Fellow, an alumna of the Vona Voices Workshop for Writers of Color, and a Macondo Writers Workshop Fellow. Her poetry has appeared in venues such as Diálogo, Split This Rock, Out of Anonymity, Angel's Flight Literary West, Every Other, Compute Review Paris, and the Acentos Review. Her debut book of poetry, Edgecliff, and her second collection, Maestra, are published by Flower Song Press. Please welcome Angelina.
Buenas noches. Thank you so much. Congratulations, Teresa. I'm so happy to be here, and thank you for inviting me. We met on Instagram. I never met you in person before we met in person. And you would post poems, and I loved, like, every single poem you posted, I loved. So I'm really happy to be here. And then I met you, and then I gotten to know you, and you're an extraordinary human being. So I'm so happy to be here celebrating. I'm going to start with two poems from my third book that I'm working on, which is called Saudade, and they're love poems. I'm at the stove in my suegra's yellow chipped paint kitchen on Santana Street in Southgate. Comal heat rises and frijolitos bubble. Unmothered mother anxiety brings me here a few days a week to help with my crying baby that I am endlessly nursing. I nap in twin-sized bed that smells like history, falling asleep to suegra singing lullabies to Amir, pressing his fat hands together on every syllable. Sunset signals primer impacto's daily exageración. I flip tortillas to their neoliberal Latin American propaganda, quietly cursing their contribution to our continued colonization. But Walter y las Estrellas intro music suspends exhaustion, depression, and cynicism. Apagando todo, I sit on couch, scoop baby into my lap, and wait for my horoscope. Leo, tú eres el rey absoluto del zodiaco, rey de corazones. Donde tú te ubicas, brilla la luz, el amor, la autoridad, lo refinado y el buen gusto. La máxima en la maternidad, tienes fuerzas espirituales que te protegen. Tú vas a vencer obstáculos y enemigos, y que nadie diga que has sido amado si no has sido amado por ti, Leo. And for that moment, I am everything Walter says I am. Thank you. Isla Mujeres. Aquí hay mujeres grandes por todas partes. Ellas dominan. Sus caderas desbordantes se derraman sobre los asientos de las scooters. Sus cascos cubren sus melenas de leona. Senos sin sujetador ajustados en blusas sin tirantes. Sus hijos agarran sus piernas arenosas mientras sus hombres y mujeres caminan orgullosamente con el brazo alrededor de su cintura. Amplias sonrisas yucatecas se juntan en las aceras de la isla. Cantan carcajadas mayas mientras se reúnen frente a la taquería al atardecer caribeño. Okay, so those two are from the book I'm working on called Saudade. They're love poems. My second book is coming out in December, and it's called Maestra, and they're 23 years of poems that I wrote about teaching. So I'm going to read 3 from the book that's coming out in December. Happy New Year. Welcome back to kindergarten. What happened to you? I broke my thumb and fractured my hand. How did that happen? When I was visiting my dad in jail, the steel door closed on my hand. I have a note. I can't play outside until February. I have to go to the office every recess and lunch. Well, I'm glad to see you. Put your backpack away and come sit on the rug. Are you going to read us a story? Yes. Can you please read the story about the hedgehog who thinks the acorn is his baby? Of course. You do not deserve, have the heart, or the will to teach poor students of color. You do not see that your disrespectful and uncaring actions are the foundation of their lifelong occupation of hating and doubting themselves and feeling inadequate. My homie's suggestions to supplement my income during the strike. 1, you can sell weed to the other teachers. 2, you can sell water and drinks to the teachers like my homie used to do at the Laker parades. 3, you guys can start a strike fund. 4, puedes putear. Puedes putear means you can prostitute yourself. That's what it's come to for teachers. I'm going to end from my book Edgecliff, and it's called I Come from a Place Where All We Knew Was to Be Ghetto Fabulous and Together. Before you start taking out your pinche black and white photos of your tatarabuelo de Francia con sus ojos verdes and your bisabuela Eugenia from the Tarahumara tribe, no, I don't have a single goddamn picture to show you of my ancestors. Before you pull out your map showing me where Fulano boarded his boat in the Bay of Biscay, arriving in your mother's hometown in Zacatecas, or the pueblo that 4 generations of your gente were born into, know that my mother was born in the Nayarit jungle to my 14-year-old grandmother, and no one can say who the father is, and that I may not even be a Padilla, porque mi bisabuela era puta. And there is no judgment there. Before you tell me of caps and gowns, cheerleaders and jocks, and that you were voted most likely to succeed, no, I come from a place of flunking fools, 0.0 grade point averages. Before you share your tips about the bands playing in Echo Park, or the best ramen in Silver Lake, or how Hollywood is now called the East Side, no, my people's blood pooled on your corners. As men masturbated in their cars on Sunset, and my mother lay face down, intoxicated, on the Lucille midnight sidewalk. And then just one more. Thank you. Humidity transports me to musty brick homes along dusty roads, moist sunrise rooster calls, ragged dogs roaming on roofs, to Tepic, Nayarit. Neighbors in my tia's living room tiendita call, quiero. I turn in stinky sheets dried on rainy clothesline. Muffled kitchen voices and clinging of dishes, chancla shuffles on concrete floor, and fans' soft whir ease me into waking hours. My uncle paces in and out a floral curtain doorway, judging my lazy Yankee ass for still being in bed at 6 a.m. Sidewalk broom bristles to dark men in thin button-up shirts and sooty slacks, cracked feet in worn huaraches and calloused hands load up triciclos de carga, elote, helados, tamales, frutas, flores. Unforgiving tropical sun angrily shines on walk along uneven cobblestone street. Human mass on bus radiates moisture. The deaf and mute guitarist, who has memorized death climbs up rusty stairs, plays random strings and screams from the top of his lungs into my hot ears. Helado de limón nos refrescan la sombra de los guayabos en la plaza central. Nos subimos a un taxi, ventanas medias abiertas, nubladas por la humedad. Humedad, parallel dimension. I'm not talking about damp. I'm not talking about Seattle, San Sebastian, San Francisco. I'm talking about tropical humidity. When it is not humid, my feet are on the ground. I am working, mothering, writing, hustling. But this morning, I am waterside in Miami. The mist crawls across the ocean as humidity wraps my heart in banana leaves. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Angelina. Round of applause for all our poets that are joining Teresa. I think you curated an amazing lineup, Teresa. So now for our star poet of the evening, Teresa was born in Saigon, Vietnam, and fled her Vietnamese homeland with her mother and brother shortly after the American War in Vietnam, spending 3.5 months in a freight boat stranded in the South China Sea before being rescued. Her father, who had served in the Army of the Republic of Vietnam, remained in a Viet Cong re-education prison camp for 9 years. Altadena Poet Laureate, Editor-in-Chief 2018 through 2020, and a member of the Pasadena Rose Poets, Teresa Mei Chuc is the author of 3 full-length collections of poetry: Invisible Light, Keeper of the Winds, and Red Thread. Her poetry appears in journals such as the National Poetry Review, Poet Lore, Rattle, and in the anthologies such as Inheriting the War, Poetry and Prose by Descendants of Vietnam Veterans and Refugees. Her new poetry chapbook, Incidental Takes, was published by Hummingbird Press. Teresa teaches literature and writing at a public high school in Los Angeles. Please welcome Teresa Mei Chuc.
Oh my goodness. I'm so honored to be here among all of you. Thank you, Tracy. Thank you, Lisbeth. Thank you, Tanya. Thank you, Angelina. You all made me cry. I am so honored to coexist in this lifetime with you and to be with you, to be in community with you, to be existing with you. And thank you, Yvonne and Beyond Brook, for creating the space for me to celebrate my release, and with my Beyond Brook family. Thank you, Shonda, and everyone. I'm just so honored and moved by all of you. In the past, I have been a cloud, a river, and the air, and I was a rock. I was the minerals in the water. This is not a question of belief in reincarnation. This is the history of life on earth. Thich Nhat Hanh. 13,744 whales and dolphins each year legally killed by the US military. Incidental Takes. This book is dedicated to my children, my parents, grandparents, ancestors, and to Nuuk, which is the Vietnamese word for water and homeland. The heart of Thich Quang Duc is pink as a lotus blossom, unshakable in its conviction in enlightenment, self-regeneration, rising above even in a typhoon, even when that typhoon is fire that burns and sears skin, flesh, and muscles. There is no word for this kind of pain. There is no word for this kind of bravery. As the story goes, Thich Quang Duc's heart remains intact, the one thing the fire could not consume. Now it sits here, guarded in the temple of my heart. Thich Quang Duc was the monk that self-immolated on the streets of Saigon during the American War in Vietnam. US warplanes dropping bombs over the Mekong River. Irrawaddy dolphins die, relatives in the crossfire of imperialism. A lesson on interbeing. Thich Nhat Hanh says that when I eat an orange, I could taste the clouds, the rain, the sunshine. My late grandmother's love when she planted this tree nearly half a century ago. Hear her voice conversing with leaves. Feel the fluttering wings of bees covered in pollen, and see the iridescent hummingbird that visits daily, drunk on the nectar of orange blossoms. US Navy uses 260,000 explosives in the ocean. Dead cetaceans in war games. 500,000 hours of high-frequency sonar necropsies reveal whales bleeding from eyes and ears, diving too quickly, trying to escape. Ocean in a conch shell, F-16 fighter jet overhead in an empty cup pressed against the ear. Sampan. I travel barefoot standing on the river of life in my sampan, rowing with my wooden paddle, my non la shading the brightness of the sun. Where the water flows. When looking at water around us, rivers, lakes, oceans, rain, remember water flows within us, the same water as rivers, lakes, oceans, rain. Nhưng nơi som nước chảy trôi, khi đã nhìn nước xung quanh, som sông hồ bể, biển xanh, mưa nguồn, nơi than tha nước mặc luôn, từ sông hồ bể, mưa nguồn, biển xanh. 50% of oxygen in our atmosphere comes from the ocean. Microscopic phytoplanktons. Splitting bamboo. My ancestors could split bamboo with a knife until it is paper thin. The old woman lays the strips of bamboo on the floor, holding them in place with her bare feet, one strip next to the other in a row. She places another strip under and over like ocean waves. She uses a bundle of bamboo strips to weave a winnowing basket, to collect grains of rice, separating them from the husk in the wind. To make the rim of the basket, she bends a long strip of bamboo into a circle and ties it. If I try hard enough, I could hold the heavy metal knife in my own hand, place it in the middle of the bamboo pole, use the palm of my other hand to pound the back of the knife to make the first split of the bamboo, breaking it in half. I would keep splitting, slicing with the same knife until I have a bundle of bamboo strips that I could weave into anything, a basket to carry fruits or to winnow grain, a floor mat, a chair, a hat to shade myself from the strong sun as I work, a canoe to take me down the river, a basket to carry my child on my back, a basket to catch fish. I could begin with this bamboo tree before me, native to the lands of my ancestors, giving us everything we needed for thousands and thousands of years. We take care of each other. Dangers to whales, ship strikes, sonar, military testing, commercial whaling, plastic waste, fishing nets, oil spills, climate change. When a whale dies, its carcass sinks to the seafloor. Carbon from body supports deep sea organisms. On the nature of being. Last night, the legs of a hummingbird pushed through the skin of my left hand from the inside. I felt the small claws and with the palm of my right hand held it in. I wondered, what is this hummingbird in my hand? Does it live there? 반짝 돈다이 댐과 점도의 고무주 짐수의 북스린과 디야 반다이자이 tôi cảm nhận những mòn chân nổ bể và giữ trong lòng bàn tay phải của tôi. Tôi tự hỏi, con chim rùi này là cái gì trong tay tôi? Nó có thực sự hiện hữu ở đó không? In my dream, I was sleeping. In my dream, I was swimming with whales in the ocean. No words, but we understood each other. Tôi bơi chăm giấc mơ tôi với cả với giữa biển khơi. Chẳng một lời nào mà hiểu thấu lòng nào. Deepwater Horizon oil spill, Gulf of Mexico. Sperm whales choked, drowned, poisoned. Months following Deepwater Horizon oil spill, thousands of dolphins died, poisoned by ingesting toxins from oil. Exxon Valdez oil spill, Alaska. Killer whale population reduced by 40%. Still recovering, possible extinction. 10 years later, Deepwater Horizon oil spill still affecting marine life. Reproductive failure, lung disease, heart issues, death in bottlenose dolphins. During final stages of decay, 200 species inhabit whale skeleton on sea floor. So in Vietnam, I recently learned that we worship whales, and this has been a practice for thousands of years, especially along the coastal regions. You can visit whale temples and whale cemeteries. Cam Tan Village, Vietnam. Villagers gather at annual festival honoring whales, ceremonies that connect us to Ga Ong, which is whale in Vietnamese. During Vietnam War, U.S. military dropped 2.7 million tons of explosives into the Mekong River. Irrawaddy dolphins died from impact and audio trauma. First World War, 58,000 whales were killed. Britain and its allies needed oil to keep fighting. Tending to whale bones, southern coastal villages of Vietnam. 10 years later, the villagers dig up the buried bones of the beached whale, polish them with whale oil to make them softer. World War II. Whales and dolphins died during explosions in sea battles. Military on both sides used passing dolphin pods as target practice. I have 2 more poems. Praying at the whale temple in Vung Tau. A person who spots a dead whale in the village has the responsibility to mourn the death with all the rituals carried out when his or her parent or grandparent passes away. Trong Ha on Vietnam's southern coast, a cemetery for whales. At the whale temple, I kneel down to pray. To the bones of the sea gods on the altar who bear many names, Ga Ong, grandfather fish, Ga Voi, elephant fish, made from a robe and elephant bones tossed into the sea by Guan Am Bodat. I offer incense to our great ancestors who watch over us in the sea, who have saved many fishermen in storms, who have balanced boats and people on their backs. The fishermen and villagers bring a beached whale to the land where she must be given a funeral procession. There is a whale cemetery in Ba Ria, Vung Tau province, in the fishing village of Phuc Hai, where hundreds of whales are buried, incense and flowers on each grave. A woman kneels and prays. Mother of water, river of 9 dragons. Dam construction on the Mekong River poses a serious threat to the region's economies and ecosystems. Brahma Chelani. Song Mekong, flowing from the Tibetan Plateau through China, Myanmar, Laos, Thailand, Cambodia, Vietnam, and into the country of my heart, where the wild rice grows and the villagers live and have lived for thousands of years, where the Irrawaddy dolphins, the giant catfish, and the soft-shelled turtles swim, where the saurus cranes feed on insects, seeds, fish in the river reeds, and open their majestic wings to take flight, where the lilies and lotus bloom, where our ancestors are alive, where the water buffalo bathe their 1,000-pound bodies submerged in the river of my soul, their heads on the water's surface, curving horns pointing towards the sky, where Song Gulong, river of 9 dragons, flow through thick palm and green mangrove forests, where the Duglanker and white-cheeked gibbon exist, and salt and fresh water mix. I, your daughter, am forever connected to you, though thousands of miles away. Thank you. Thank you all so much again. And I wanted to mention again that the Vietnamese word for water, nuc, is also our word for country. So it's one and the same. Thank you so much to everyone.
Congratulations. Thank you so much. We have copies of Incidental Takes in our bookstore, of Edgecliff, of Navigating Without Instruments. What was the book that you have? Is it War Within? War Still Within as well. So please, I'm sure that Teresa is more than happy to sign, and also our authors here. So please come back. Hope to see you again, but feel free to hang out in the space for a little bit. Thank you. Thank you all so much.